Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to BAJIRAO IAS Academy, the Hindu News Analysis. Today is 25th August 2025 and today we have some important articles from the Hindu newspaper. So one by one we'll be discussing these important articles from the Hindu in a detailed and in-depth manner. So without any further delay, let's get into the discussion. So if you like our discussion, please subscribe our YouTube channel and also hit the like button. And if you have any suggestions, please write those suggestions in the comment section. And even if you have any doubts regarding any topics that we are discussed, so you can freely comment those doubts in the comments section. So let's understand these topics in a detailed manner, and the first topic with which we're going to start the session is that DRDO recently test-fired India's air defense weapon system. So let's understand what exactly is a air defense weapon system and what is its importance. And recently Prime Minister Narendra Modi also made a promise to the nation that India is going to have its own indigenous defense system. So that could cover the critical infrastructure of our country. So let's understand the context of this topic. The context is that, so as I have already told you, that DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization, so it has successfully conducted its maiden flight test of integrated air defense weapon system, so off the coast of Odisha on Saturday. Now we all knew that there's an island in Odisha which is known as Chandipur Island, right? So this is also called as Wheeler Island or Abdul Kalam Island. So from that island, so we very often know that DRDO very often conduct the flight tests of different missiles, and in a similar way DRDO again successfully conducted the maiden flight tests of the integrated air defense weapon system, right? And in fact, this test that has been conducted by DRDO has validated a multi-layered air defense capability. Now, what exactly is a multi-layered air defense capability? So, if I say a multi-layered air defense capability, so it could potentially stop the enemy missiles attacking India's critical infrastructure, and therefore it enhances the safety and security of the public. So, therefore, it provides multi-layered air defense system for India. So, it further enhances the capability to provide multi-layered air defense system to India. So therefore I can say that this actually marks or a boost to national security preparedness for India. Now this is in the context of Operation Sindoor, where Pakistan has used missiles and drones to attack the civilian populations. But if we have an indigenous air defense system, so that could well protect us, the civilians and the critical infrastructure as well. So therefore this is how an integrated air defense weapon system is very important for a country like India. So let's understand some important details of this indigenous integrated air defense system that DRDO has tested. Now in fact it was conducted around 12:30 p.m. August 23rd, and in fact it was conducted, or the test flight was conducted in an integrated test range Chandipur, Odisha, from Wheeler Island or Abdul Kalam Island. So you have to remember this. And in fact, what are the important components of this integrated indigenous air defense system? So it has three very important components. The first component is quick reaction surface to air missiles. So it will have a quick reaction surface to air missiles, which are also called as QRSAM. And in fact, the second component is a very short range air defense missiles. So they are being called as VSHORADS, right? So it will be little bit difficult to pronounce that, but they are very short range air defense missiles. And apart from that, the third most important component of this integrated indigenous air defense system is a high powered laser based directed energy weapon, right? So this is the third component of the indigenous integrated air defense system. So these are the three components this air defense system is actually equipped with, right? So you just have to remember these three components. They may not be important for the prelims exam, but for the mains exam they're very important. And apart from that, the indigenous integrated air defense system has a centralized command. Now when I say centralized command, what does it mean? So it actually means that it can be operated via command and control center, and that has been developed by the Defense Research and Development Organization. Now what is the objective or what is the benefit of this command and control center or centralized command of such an air defense system? It actually ensures a seamless integration of missiles, radar and laser systems with each other, and that is going to further enhances the capability of this integrated air defense system that DRDO is testing. And in fact, this test is also a success because the DRDO after this test announced that all targets which were set were successfully neutralized. And in fact, 2 high-speed fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles were neutralized, 1 multi-copter drone also neutralized, and this also destroyed at different ranges and altitudes simultaneously. So therefore, this is a resounding success for the indigenous air defense system and the missiles that it has already equipped with, and that has successfully neutralized all the targets that DRDO has announced. Now let's understand. This is being called as Mission Sudarshan Chakra, right? So you just have to remember this. This is being called as Mission Sudarshan Chakra. So as I have already told you that this air defense system actually equipped with 3 different components or 3 different layers. The first layer is quick reaction surface to air missiles, and secondly very short range air defense system, and third a laser based directed energy weapon. So these are the 3 layers or 3 components that this indigenous air defense system is actually equipped with. Now how this test has been conducted, and in fact during the test 3 different targets including 2 high-speed fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles, so they were the targets, and a multi-copter drone. So all these targets were hit simultaneously at different altitudes. So therefore this is a success that DRDO has announced, and this mission is being named as Mission Sudarshan Chakra for prelims exam or any other objective exam. So this could be important. So just remember Mission Sudarshan Chakra. So let's understand the strategic significance and reactions from the different quarters, right? So if you talk about the significance, the integrated indigenous air defense system, no doubt this is a multi-layered, it has different components, and it is a aerial defense system, so it can protect our civilian populations and critical security establishments and infrastructure as well. So therefore it even protects us from the drones, unmanned aerial vehicles and even enemy aircrafts also. So therefore it is a comprehensive air defense system that is expected to protect a critical infrastructure, security establishment and civilian populations. So this is a very important aspect. And immediately after this successful mission Sudarshan Chakra, the Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, so he congratulated the DRDO, armed forces and industry partners for this milestone. And in fact the DRDO chairman currently Dr. Samir V. Kamath, so he again lauded the DRDO's efforts in integrating the advanced missile and later laser technologies with each other. So here you have to remember that DRDO chairman is Samir V. Kamath. And apart from coming back to its importance, its strategic significance, so it is expected to enhance India's overall ability to counter emerging aerial threats, right? So in fact a number of aerial threats we might face, and in fact China, Bangladesh and Pakistan, there is a possibility of 2.5 front war with all these countries surrounding, and China is a nuclear armed state and Pakistan is also a nuclear armed state, and recently India has attacked the terrorist establishments in Pakistan with the name Operation Sindoor. So therefore keeping this in mind, it can actually enhance India's overall ability to counter emerging aerial threats, including the swarm drones, precision strikes that Pakistan was attacked India's civilian population during the Operation Sindoor. And apart from that, this mission Sudarshan Chakra, or having an indigenous integrated defense system, would further boost India's Atmanirbhar Bharat objective, because it actually reflects the growing strength of indigenous defense and research and development manufacturing in India. So this is the overall objective of conducting the mission Sudarshan Chakra, which is developing an indigenous air defense system. So this could be a comprehensive air defense system for India. And next important topic is Jan Vishwas 2.0. So in fact, this Jan Vishwas 2.0 is very often in news, right? So you might have read this in newspapers or televisions. So let's understand in a very detailed way what exactly is a Jan Vishwas 2.0, what are the objectives, what is the need to bring this Jan Vishwas 2.0. So let's understand about this in a very detailed and a crisp manner. And in fact, so it is being said that the Jan Vishwas Amendment of Provisions Bill 2025, which is also called as Jan Vishwas 2.0, because already there was a Jan Vishwas in the year 2023. So therefore this new Jan Vishwas is being called as Jan Vishwas 2.0. And this Jan Vishwas 2.0 is also dubbed as Jan Vishwas is also known as Jan Vishwas 2.0. So it was recently introduced in Lok Sabha. Now remember that whenever a constitution needed to be amended, so the bill needs to be introduced either in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, and then it will be sent to the assent. It will be sent to the president for her assent. So even if if we wanted to pass any bill or any legislation, so the same procedure follows, either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, and then president must give her assent. So therefore this Jan Vishwas Amendment of Provisions Bill 2025 has been introduced in the Lok Sabha first. And this Jan Vishwas Amendment of Provisions Bill 2025, or Jan Vishwas 2.0, so this bill is considered as an extension of Jan Vishwas Amendment Provisions Act 2023 that was already passed in the year 2023. So that's why it is being called as Jan Vishwas 2.0. Now what is its objective? So let's understand its objective. Its objective is, so it, in fact, the earlier Jan Vishwas Amendment Bill or Amendment Act of 2023, so it has decriminalized certain provisions, right? So it has decriminalized certain provisions in various laws, because we are living in a modern society. In a modern society, some laws or some crimes may be outdated or they may be obsolete. So therefore there is a need to amend the laws, so that we reduce the criminalizing tendency of those provisions. So therefore this Jan Vishwas Act was brought in 2023 to decriminalize certain offences which have no relevance at present moment, right? So this Jan Vishwas Act of 2023 has already decriminalized 183 provisions in 42 acts, right? So there were 42 laws. In 42 laws, around 183 provisions have been decriminalized through this Jan Vishwas Act of 2023. And it also aims to amend 16 central acts which are administered by 10 ministries and departments. So overall the objective is to decriminalize and rationalize some offences and some penalties, right, which are not relevant, right? So which are not relevant at present moment, right? Because this will further strengthen or enhances the trust between the citizens and the government. It also improves the ease of doing business as well, and it will further strengthen the governance as well. So these are the objectives with which this Jan Vishwas 2.0 bill has been brought into the Lok Sabha. So it aimed at decriminalizing some of the provisions in different laws so that we can improve the trust between the government and citizens, we can improve the governance and also the ease of doing business as well. So I hope you have understood what exactly is Jan Vishwas 2.0. So therefore this actually means that this bill will further enhances the trust-based governance for ease of living and ease of doing business in India. So this is in a very brief Jan Vishwas 2.0. So let's understand the background of Jan Vishwas 2.0. So if we talk about the background of Jan Vishwas, now let's look into Indian laws. So it is being said that the Indian laws are overly criminalized. So the over criminalization of Indian laws are not conducive for ease of doing business. They're not conducive for a better trust and confidence between the citizens and the government. So therefore, this over criminalization tendency must be reduced through this Jan Vishwas Act, and that is the objective of this Jan Vishwas Bill of 2.0. And in fact, this over criminalization tendency has also been approved by Vidhi Center for Legal Policy, and it has said that 370 of 882 central laws, so they have the criminal provisions for around 7,305 crimes. So therefore such a huge number of criminal provisions are not at all conducive for the trust, governance and ease of doing business. So therefore there is a need to reduce these criminal provisions or eliminate the criminal provisions. And apart from that, so if you look at these laws, these criminal provisions in various laws, so the criminal provisions also mandate a disproportionate punishments. So disproportionate punishments are unjust, right? So they are not at a scale, a proportionate scale. So therefore this is another major problem, and that has been violating the principle of proportionality in crime and punishment, and this also pointing out towards the need for amending this criminal provisions in various laws, right? And in fact it is also said that the existing criminal provisions in various central laws, so they are being considered as a hindrance to the business as well, because for any country, right, so in order to achieve economic growth, economic development, so investment is important, right? So when we have investment, so investment facilitation is possible when we have a conducive policy for ease of doing business, a conducive environment for ease of doing business. But if you have too many provisions which are criminalizing in nature, so those provisions are criminal provisions in various laws, don't you think that it is going to affect the investor confidence? So therefore these provisions are also a hindrance to business. Now according to Observer Research Foundation ORF 2022 report, so of 1536 business laws, over 50% carry imprisonment clauses. So therefore this is also another major problem. And apart from that, there's a huge burden on the judiciary as well, right? So if you have too many criminal provisions and you are not eliminated those criminal provisions which are outdated, which are obsolete and which are not at all relevant, so don't you think that you are increasing burden on the judiciary, right? So according to the National Judicial Data Grid, so currently there are 3.6 crore pending criminal cases in India's district courts, right? So there's a huge pendency of cases in district courts, high courts and the Supreme Court. So therefore if you are not reforming the criminal laws or the various provisions in different laws, you are further increasing the burden on already overburdened judiciary. So therefore this is another major problem, and that pointing out towards the need for Jan Vishwas 2.0. And in fact, so even if there are minor lapses in courts, so that would further delay justice for serious offences as well. So here serious offences need to be taken seriously by the judiciary, But if there are petty offenses, irrelevant offenses, they're coming into the courts and they are disrupting the functioning of the courts. And when will courts hear these serious offenses? So courts need to give adequate amount of time for these serious offenses as well. So therefore, the need for Jan Vishwas 2.0 bill. Now let's understand the provisions of Jan Vishwas bill 2025, because it has certain provisions. So let's understand what are the provisions that it has. And in fact, it is being said that the Jan Vishwas bill that has been introduced in Lok Sabha, so it proposes amending 355 provisions and 288 provisions if decriminalized. So they would foster or they would promote ease of doing business in India, and 67 provisions if they are decriminalized, so they would further facilitate the ease of living of the people, right? So the objective is facilitating ease of living for the people, increasing the trust and confidence of the people, and also fostering the ease of doing business. So these are the two major objectives of bringing in this Jan Vishwas 2.0 bill. So in fact, a number of legislations have been covered as part of Jan Vishwas 2.0. So the acts including the RBI Act of 1934, Drugs and Cosmetics Act of 1940, Motor Vehicles Act of 1988, Electricity Act 2003. So there are number of such legislations have been included in this Jan Vishwas bill of 2.0. And in fact, if you look at some of the key features of this Jan Vishwas bill, so earlier, for the first time offenders, there might be a penalty or a jail term, a short jail term. But as part of this Jan Vishwas bill and reforms to decriminalize the existing provisions in various laws, the first time offenders will be given warning and improvement notice. And it is being introduced for around 76 offenses under 10 laws. So this is how the Jan Vishwas bill is bringing reforms in the criminal justice system in India. For example, so let's look at an example. So the example is here. For example, a non-standard weights and measures. So it earlier draw a penalty of 1 lakh. But now it actually provides for an improvement notice with a rectification timeline as well. So this is how it provides an opportunity for a first time offender, and this is how it improves the ease of living, right? So it gives an opportunity to improve oneself. And apart from that, it also removed imprisonment clauses for certain offenses as well. For example, for minor procedural or technical defaults, so they no longer attract a jail term. Now, in fact, it actually proposes a fine between 10,000 and 10 lakh rupees instead of a 3-month imprisonment for non-compliance with orders under the Electricity Act of 2023. For example, the orders under the Electricity Act of 2023. So, if any party is not complied with the orders under the Electricity of 2023, so the party will be given a 3-month imprisonment. But now it has been reformed or changed into a fine of 10,000 rupees or 10 lakh. And apart from that, rationalization of penalties as well. For example, an automatic 10% increase in penalty every 3 years would further increases the deterrence without the fresh amendments. So these are the provisions which are brought into the Jan Vishwas bill of 2.0, which aimed at decriminalizing some of the existing laws. Right, so let's understand the government's rationale for Jan Vishwas 2.0. What exactly is the rationale of the government when it brought Jan Vishwas 2.0? Now, we very often come across a theme called minimum government, maximum governance. And when the government has launched any e-governance initiative, the government says that its objective is minimum government and maximum governance. So this Jan Vishwas 2.0 is also in line with this theme of minimum government and maximum governance to every citizen of this country. And in fact, the Jan Vishwas 2.0 will support India's ease of doing business, will improve the trust, and it also part of India's larger judicial reforms, because the judiciary is already overburdened. So therefore, it is very important that the judiciary should take into account the criminal offences. The judiciary should give more time for the criminal offences rather than looking into these petty matters. So therefore, there is a need for reforming the existing criminal offences or criminal laws. And in fact, the government further reiterated a commitment to remove unnecessary and outdated laws that criminalize these trivial acts. And in fact, the bill is under review by a select committee of Lok Sabha, and report is expected to a new parliamentary session as well. However, if the government has enacted this Jan Vishwas 2.0 Act, so it could actually reduce the pendency before the courts, and it would further enhances the trust between the government and the citizens. It also improves the ease of doing business, and it will also promote Make in India as well. Because through Jan Vishwas 2.0, the government is planning to brought in a business friendly environment, business friendly climate. So I hope you have understood what exactly is a Jan Vishwas 2.0 in a detailed and in-depth manner. So let's understand another very important topic that could be very important for General Studies paper 2, particularly for the mains examination. And this talks about the nutrition and cognition link. Now, India is a country which has been facing severe nutrition deficiencies. Child stunting, child wasting, child malnutrition. So therefore, a lack of nutrition, particularly for children during their young ages, first 2 years, will also affect their cognition, their cognitive abilities as well. So therefore, there is a link between nutrition and poverty, nutrition and cognition, nutrition and learning outcomes as well. So I hope you have understood the context, the relevance of this particular topic. Now, it is being said that human development is deeply shaped by its earliest stages. Now, when I say earliest stages, the first year, second year of a child, so the development of a child depends more on the early stages of his life, right? So in fact, when I say early stages, so the first 1,000 years of child's life is very, very important, and this is being called as the critical window of opportunity for that particular child. Now, in this first 1,000 years, nutrition must be taken care of, and this period, which stretching from the conception to a child's second birth. And this is where this period is called as critical window of opportunity, and nutrition, brain development, cognitive abilities. So all these factors, all these different factors, they converge, they integrate to lay foundation for a lifelong health, learning and productivity. So therefore, these 2 years are very critical and very important for any child. However, the problem here is missing this critical window of opportunity in India because of the nutrition deficiency among the children, the failure of the interventions that are being undertaken at the different at the local level, in different states, and overall at the national level, right? So missing this window would further create severe setbacks, and they will be it will be difficult to reverse those setbacks. It will be not easier for us to reverse those setbacks, right? So in fact, several research inputs are also pointing out towards missing this critical window in India. So let's understand the connection between nutrition and cognitive simulation. So what exactly is a relation between this nutrition and cognitive development of a child during his or her early stages? Now, in fact, it is being a well-known fact that the nutrition deficiencies in the early stages of a child, so they can lead to stunting, cognitive impairments and lifelong disabilities of that particular child, and it further affect the learning outcomes of a child and poverty. So therefore, overall it will not be good for economic growth and economic development of a nation. However, so India, right from its independence, has made progress, right? It has made progress in terms of reducing the malnutrition or nutrition deficiencies, but still there are problems like higher rate of malnutrition, stunting, wasting. So these problems must be addressed with the right interventions so that we can reduce the nutrition deficiencies, so we can improve the living standards of the people, right? So that is a very important intervention that has to be taken. However, at the present pace of reducing the malnutrition or nutrition interventions that the governments at the different levels are undertaking, so it is being estimated that country will only reach stunting prevalence of just 10% by 2075. So in fact, we have a stunting, if I'm not wrong, it would be around 35 to 40% of the children are stunted, right? So by 2075 we will have 10% of stunted children. So if we go ahead with this current pace, so therefore whatever interventions that the government has launched to reduce the malnutrition or nutrition deficiencies, they are not enough. So we need to take a critical interventions at a faster pace to reduce the malnutrition or nutrition deficiencies. However, accelerating progress in this arena, in this domain, requires recognizing nutrition and cognitive simulation are inseparable. So you cannot separate nutrition with the cognitive development, cognitive growth of a child. So they are inseparable, and it is being called, they are the same cut, they are the cut from a same cloth. So therefore the cognitive growth and development and nutrition cannot be separated. And in fact, research also confirmed this connection between the cognitive development and the need for the nutrition. And studies in Tamil Nadu, so they found that early iron deficiencies among children impair language development and the cognitive speed as well. So overall it will affect their learning outcomes, right? So they are not very good at studies, so therefore it will affect their ability to earn in future, right? So it will reinforce the poverty cycle. And in fact, standalone nutrition programs are also launched by the governments. And in fact, these standalone nutrition programs are beneficial, they are helpful, but they fall short compared to the interventions that integrate both nutrition and simulation. And in fact, this actually reflects the everyday observations. Children absorb language, memory rapidly in their first years, illustrating the power of neuroplasticity. And it is being said that 80% brain development takes place in first 2 years of a child. So therefore, how critical nutrition is for any child. And in fact, early years should be seen as a bedrock of human capability, because as I have already highlighted that 80% of the brain's development would take place in first 2 years of a child, right? So it is not that the government has not come up with any interventions. There are interventions, for example the integrated child development services and the Navachetna framework as well. So there are several such frameworks which aimed at addressing the nutrition deficiencies, which are aimed at addressing the malnutrition among the children. For example, if we talk about the integrated child development services, so over the decades, so this is one of the successfully running large scale program which focused on early childhood care and education, right? So this actually created ambitious framework to address the challenge of nutrition deficiencies or malnutrition. The integrated child development services. So this integrated child development services is called as world's largest childcare program, and this actually placed nutrition and education as twin priorities. Right, so education along with the nutrition. So therefore, nutrition will be taken care of, and cognitive abilities of a child will also be taken care of. The government has launched Poshan Bhi Padhai Bhi scheme. So this explicitly seeks to integrate both aspects, recognizing that one without the other is insufficient. So Navchetna framework has also been launched. So if you talk about the Navchetna framework, it actually builds on integration by offering structured stimulation activities which are being tailored to children under the 3 years of age. And in fact, the play-based approaches which are being promoted through the Navchetna framework, parents, caregivers, Anganwadi workers, so they can actually support the holistic and comprehensive development of a child, reflecting the formal schooling methods. Right, so these are the two critical and very important interventions that are being taken which are aimed at nutrition and cognitive growth and development of a child. So there are certain gaps. However, these gaps need to be identified, recognized, and these gaps must be filled. Now, despite a lot of challenges, so we have a 14 lakh Anganwadis across the country. They aim at early childhood care and education that also includes the nutrition and cognitive development of a child during his or her early stages. So therefore, the infrastructure is vast because we have 14 lakh Anganwadi centers across the country. So despite having 14 lakh Anganwadi centers, the coverage and quality vary significantly. Now across all states, Anganwadis have a same level of infrastructure, same level of quality. For example, in states like Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, so the quality is not quite good compared to the facilities in states like Telangana, Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu, and even certain urban areas. So these urban areas remain underserved. They are not well covered with these schemes, these facilities, right? So therefore, technology needs to be fully leveraged so that we can ensure better delivery of services and the better delivery of critical interventions along with the accountability as well. And in fact, the early learning, health, the psychological well-being of children. So in different Anganwadi centers, and even if the government has been coming up with these interventions aimed at addressing nutrition deficiencies, malnutrition, stunting and wasting, so these are being viewed as a different entities, right? So they are being looked at as different entities rather than integrated components for the development. And moreover, women empowerment is tightly linked to the child care provisions as well. So therefore, if we do not have the crèche systems, so we should have a robust crèche systems, but without having those robust crèche systems, whether public, community run or through public-private partnerships, women forced to exit the workforce, stalling both their productivity and their child care or children's opportunities as well. So therefore, we need to have a robust crèche system. So in fact, child care is not merely a social service, but a catalyst for gender equality and the national economic growth as well. So these are the certain gaps, and there is a need to address these gaps to achieve the integration between the cognitive development and the nutrition in children. And that is the way to address the existing problem and also build on the demographic dividend that we already have. And that's all in this lecture, and thank you so much.